I want to ask you, and we touched up a little bit about the economy itself. You've done Ravit Show for a while now.
Yep.
Can you share your learnings? You see, what you've done so well, which I haven't seen many people do out there, is building a community in a very short time. You mentioned you have about 500,000 followers to the Ravit Show at this point, right? That's a
Right.
massive fan base. I'm one of those guys as well. But how did you build it? What did you learn over the years building a community?
Yeah, that's a very good question. In terms of, building a community, what I feel is first thing you have to make sure what is the incentive for people to invest 30 minutes in a show in a week for you.
Yeah.
What you have to get that pretty right.
Yeah.
I obviously collaborate with a lot of companies. We have almost say 120 companies that we have collaborated in the last 4.5 years. And what we've seen is basically the community wants a learning experience if they are spending even 10 minutes into the game. And the most, interesting thing for them is, Ravit, can we hear the leaders talk about the space in general instead of them talking about their product or services?
So
Can
very
they talk about the
agnostic.
problem?
Don't sell your services. Be very agnostic and focus on the community. That's a good message.
True. If I kind of come up here and talk about the Ravit Show services that we kind of gave, and this is what we're doing, this is what, how we're kind of making it interesting for you guys, it's not going to help. Like the curiosity of people, if you're kind of fueling in that curiosity with talking about, say, the space in general, if you're having this conversation, people want to hear about the experience, about the space. And if you're giving that type of information, people will stick to it for the next 30 minutes. And they'll be like, okay, this was very conversational. Arvind is pretty good with asking questions in terms of what the other leader is doing or what the other person is doing, and getting into the weeds of the conversation always is interesting. And then at the same time, you have to be very careful about this is a service for the community. You need to do many more things. You need to be on the forefront of the technology. Like obviously in the last 20-30 years of your career, you've been back to back about the learning experience. Like off air as well, you were sharing so many great inputs around AI, about the Dallas market, about Silicon Valley, everything, because you learn, you get up every day and you are on the run of learning and making sure that you can have each pieces together and then give it out to your community as well. So that's what we've been doing and what we've done. Like there's no rocket science to it, to be honest, but there's only authenticity that people believe in, and people like you. I remember hosting you on the Ravit Show even back then. So it was amazing, experience for the people to learn from Arvind about what he does. How is he solving the problem in the space? He's coming out and he's not talking about anything around his product, because if people feel curious about you, they're going to go and check out what you're building as well. So that should be the attitude. We've done that. And it's obviously the community who kind of keeps you motivated. Like you mentioned that, we see your post, it kind of helps us. It just puts us in a direction where, okay, we're doing the right things and we should keep on the same track and go out and do something for the community, and basically just create content endlessly that comes up, new, old, just bring that forward to them.
Fantastic, Ravit. Thank you for sharing what you've learned with the community, right? So let's talk about your favorite things, right? I'm going to shoot you a couple of questions. I know you're a very, very busy guy, but let's say if at all you get some time to breathe, right? Are there any favorite podcasts or books you listen to, or any leaders out there you follow? You can pick all of the above. Answer all of the above.
Okay, so in terms of the podcast, I would say, I love to hear a podcast which is, first one is like the data driven, the cap that you have. It is a data driven podcast, but it's like a few episodes, but it's by Dave Mariani, who's from AdScale, but it's very vendor agnostic, talking about various things happening in the space. Very light podcast, 30 minutes. That's it, and you get to learn something. And to be honest, we are in this space, we consume so much content already. I kind of try to make sure that I'm limited on content in terms of getting a lot of content. I read a few books as well, but those are like leadership sort of books, or obviously the newer books that kind of come in this space. I have, a recent book that actually came, and this was around drawing data with kids, by
Nice.
Galrez Khan.
Who is
And
it?
yeah, these are like very interesting books. It actually helps you to, help kids to learn data in a
Simplify the
most
message
simplistic way.
yeah. That's
So
fantastic.
these types of books, it's like my nighttime reading that I do through, obviously it's where it talks about data literacy, it talks about data visualization and all the art forms. So those
Right.
fun stuff that I do in terms of the book, in terms of, the leaders, obviously there are various leaders that I look up to in terms of, what they're doing in this space. Like one of my one of my best friends is Sanjeev Mohan. I kind of, obviously he's been an analyst, but he's out there doing all the amazing things in this space.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I
Yeah.
would have to agree with you. The amount of insights that he has, I met him a couple of months ago in person as well. I was privileged. And in the 10 minutes of conversation we had, man, the amount of stuff he laid on me, I'm like, dude, I gotta have a note taker to really understand what you say, and then go back and spend a couple of hours to really dive into what you said, because he's just like that. He's very, very smart guy.
He is indeed, and to be honest, Arvind, you're one of the leaders as well, where that people should follow if they don't already. At least I do, from a perspective, because whenever I talk to you, I'm out there listening all the new things that are happening in this space, all the new things that you are into, and in a day, you make sure that you're doing so many things apart from your the day thing that you're kind of building. So hats off to you that way. And obviously there are leaders that I closely work with. One is like the co-founder of Airbyte, Michelle Tricot. He's one of the very interesting leaders that you can learn a lot from. Like, we don't talk about specifically Airbyte or anything, but about the space in general, about the startup world, about the open source system. And it's always good to have people around where you can learn and just grow in that space as well. So those are typical a few leaders, but then there are many more. I don't want to miss out on names. There's Veronica Durgin who's the head of data at Saks. There's Saul Rashidi. She's a CDO at various companies, and she's an advisor at various companies. There's Joe Reese, who talks about data engineering. He's fantastic in what he does. And I'm pretty sure I'm missing out on a lot of names, so I don't want to disappoint anyone. But yeah, there are many more people in this space.
We are in the same data community, so I feel you. There's just, if we have to sit down and talk, I think that itself is a separate show, talking about every individual we work with, and just keep going on and on.
Exactly.
Well, in all of this madness of what we are going through, right? What do you do for your hobbies? What's your favorite time pass?
Oh, very, very good question. To be honest, at least for me, in terms of, taking the time out, I know we are on a run. Like, I don't promote hustle culture, but if you are, somewhere where you're working 10 hours a day or something like that, for me, what I do is, obviously, even if it's like short travel, short vacations, a day out without any social,
any
calendar,
professional
or any
commitments.
Professional commitments.
Yeah,
That's what I take and do, and make sure where I'm kind of coming back, refreshing, spending time with family, going out. I play snooker, so that is something I like doing as well. I go out and spend like 3 hours playing snooker non-stop, so which is people kind of feel that, oh wow, that's a good thing, because it kind of keeps you more concentrated on the game, and you forget everything. So
now I didn't hear cricket. I didn't hear cricket.
Yeah, no, cricket is like, it's unsaid, right? It's where, okay, one weekend you got like an hour, you're like, oh, you're going out there playing with your friends and you're meeting people. And football too, like we do weekly, we have these groups where we kind of go to turf, we play football at times as well. So yeah, at least those are the things that we do. I do.
Look, I will tell you, I'm so happy that Satya Nadella played cricket and he's passionate about it, because that's when cricket is going to be mainstream here in the US. So I'm excited about those days where we start talking cricket as a time pass here in the US. So that's fun.
There's a match happening actually.
There is.
I remember in June.
T20 World Cup.
T20 World Cup. There's India-Pakistan happening. So the big cricket thing in US now. So I'm looking forward to it. Fantastic.
That's awesome. Ravit, before we exit, what's in store for you? What next for Ravit?
This year is going to be busy. We are at various conferences. We are doing a lot of in-person meetings. We are doing a lot of advisory work. But at the same time, we are making sure that we are coming to many countries. Me and Sanjeev Mohan are probably hosting a few meetups in person, because there's always a thing where, like, obviously we discussed as well that Dallas is such a huge space.
Right.
It's such a huge AI startups there, but we haven't been there. Can we do something around there? So we are, obviously getting to places, meet people, and understand what's happening in the space and bring that for the community. I'm also doing a LinkedIn learning course with, like, it's still in the plans. I haven't signed anything, but that's something that I'm doing for the community, and that's something people like to like. The first LinkedIn course we did was around building tech community, and people loved it, because I think as a persona, people always have that question for me, and they want to get like the bits of hacks, and it's best to get a course that is freely available on LinkedIn, and they can learn so much out of it. So on the similar lines, we are planning something. It's still in the making. I know my course instructor is like, oh, if you put it on record, you have to do it, but it's still in planning, guys.
That's fantastic, Ravit. Look, I'm really excited for you. Thank you for everything you and your wife do to the community as well. I think you guys are fantastic. Please don't stop publishing those architectures. That is what I live in every day. So, again, really appreciate what you do for the community. I wish you good luck. Thank you for being on the show.
And I wish you the same, and definitely looking forward to seeing what you are coming up with, what you're building, and you're doing all the great things. And thanks for hosting me today. It was such a pleasure to chat with you, Arvind. Thanks once again.
And that's a wrap of Smarchitect Shortcast with Ravit Jain. Thank you for tuning in the space of creativity and innovation. Until next time, keep designing your world one Smarchitect moment at a time. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel on YouTube. Farewell.